What is happening, guys? Welcome back to the channel for another Real Talk episode. Today we're going to be discussing why night vision, specifically active aiming with night vision, is a really bad idea. I'm going to go through kind of my biggest regrets in my night vision journey in purchasing and acquiring kind of the creme de la creme, the PVS-31 alphas that I have here, what I've learned in actually going out night shooting, and just the state of the world today and where I believe the prepared citizen should lie as far as their night vision game goes. So before we do though, we have to take a moment to thank the biggest sponsor of the channel, which is Brownells. If you guys do want to support the channel, please head over to rangedaybro.com. You can find our discounts page. It has a bunch of affiliate links as well as discount codes. When you shop with those, it does support the channel, guys. So thank you so much to everyone who does that. RDB10 will save you guys 10% off an order of $150 or more over at Brownells. It is unlimited. You could reuse that. You could share it with friends. So save yourself some money while supporting the channel at the same time. Don't buy anything you don't need, but if you're gonna buy it anyways, I really appreciate everyone who uses the code and supports the channel. Also, we have our merch over there, guys. All of our internet friends are feds. A bunch of other cool shirts. I got some good ideas coming out soon, so keep an eye on the website for that as well. Make sure you subscribe to our email list over there. And then also like, comment, and subscribe. And without further ado, let's talk about why using active aiming with night vision or without night vision is gonna get you absolutely smoked. Obviously, without night vision, there's no point in using IR lasers or illuminators. But I want to take it back to the beginning because I 100% bought into the hype train, the idea that if you didn't have nods, you were going to get smoked. And that's not entirely false today. But what I did, and I'm going to show you guys this, and this is not to flex by any means. This is more to make fun of myself because this is the price tag on the PVS-31 alphas that I purchased. As you can see, this is a sticker price. My friends over at Sportsman's Finest did kind of give me the friends and family discount, cost plus 5%. So it was around like $12.5 after taxes. So I didn't pay that full sticker tag price, but still a substantial chunk of money. And it took me over 2.5 years of saving and paying for it on layaway while they were sitting at the shop in order to completely pay them off. In fact, towards the end, the shop came under new ownership and I still owed like $3,000 on them, and I kind of lost my ass on two really nice milled receiver AKs, trading it into them in order to just pay that rest of that balance off, which I do regret, but unfortunately I just didn't have 3K sitting around. But again, a big part of the reason that I'm having these regrets is because this sticker tag is so expensive, and we're going to talk about this unit specifically in a second, but more so want to focus on kind of the do's or don'ts and the state of the world as far as night vision goes, because frankly, the reality of the situation is right now, the Taliban is walking around with night vision goggles. So that's why I said specifically active aiming, like with this guy right here with the Steiner. This is the Steiner CQBL. So this is a very minimalist, low profile, lightweight, low output as well. So it's a civilian version of IR laser. It's got IR and vis laser. That's all it does. But then we also have a IR illuminator and white light in the Surefire Vampire here. So it's obviously set to white light right now, but with a turn of a head, it goes to off and then it goes to IR, which you obviously can't see without the night vision goggles on. Now, there's a ton of things to really get into as far as optic sight height, laser illuminators, active versus passive. And let's just start with that. The number one thing I kind of wanted to say was, if you're going to look into night vision goggles, number one, you should definitely look into it with the intention of passive aiming versus active aiming and putting out a signature, because if you're going versus a near peer threat like China or Russia, they're definitely going to have night vision or night vision sensing devices on whatever artillery, their tanks, whatever it might be. 100% they're going to be able to detect you. Drones, things like that are going to be able to detect you from far away and put ordnance on your location. But not only that, now like the poors have night vision thanks to the Biden administration and the catastrophic withdrawal from Afghanistan. So now the dudes in flip-flops in the hills have M4s, have PEC-15s, and have night vision goggles. So not only are you going to get smoked by near peers, but you're going to also get smoked by the dudes that were smoking us for many years without this stuff. So, and that's no slight on our military. I love our military, and I feel for everybody who served in the military. But it's just the truth. We were getting smoked before without them having this technology. Now they have it. So as far as I see it, I've always wanted a NGOL. Like NGOL is like the coolest little thing to have on there, really just for the looks. I really don't even care. I probably would never use it in a real world scenario. again, because of said reasons, but it would just look so sick on the gun, and everybody knows heck, half the battle's looking good. Obviously I'm joking, but it's still like, I always wanted an end gall just for the flex of having a $4,500 piece of aluminum on the front of your handguard. But at the end of the day, the more and more I think about it, the more I realize like that is a really bad idea, a really bad investment overall for a civilian because of the aforementioned reasons. So that's the first thing I want to kind of just get out of the way. Active aiming is a thing of the past, in my humble opinion. Anybody you're going to be actually engaging with something like this, unless they're not expecting you whatsoever and it's an ambush or you're literally execution style, it's not going to be the best use of the IR laser. Obviously, you could use it for hunting, but it's pretty terrible for that as well. And we'll talk about thermal as we go along. But so I think these are pretty much worthless nowadays. The one exception is illumination, because if you're in a closed structure, if you're in a basement, in a tunnel, and there's absolutely no light whatsoever, it does become very difficult to see with the night vision goggles without illumination. But again, you're putting off that signature, so anyone else who's running nods will be able to see your signature, and you'll be able to see theirs as well, obviously. So it's a double-edged sword, but that's the only case in which I would argue for having something like an IR illuminator and potentially a lamp that does both, right? But with that being said, let's go back to the passive topic, because this is the lead and steel Promethean something. Full disclosure, they did send me this a long time ago. Full disclosure, I've literally shot it like once or twice because the reaction that the owner had to another reviewer's review really rubbed me the wrong way, so it's kind of just sat around. But this gun is sitting without an optic currently because of musical guns, restless rifle syndrome, due to the nature of a YouTube channel. So that is why it's sitting on here, because it was lacking an optic. So there's the backstory to this. But it does have night vision modes. It is on a riser. This is an American Defense riser with the titanium levers. It's pretty great. It's a longer top rail, so you can mount your flip to side magnifier if you had one on here as well, and without having to buy a flip to center magnifier, which is going to cost substantially more. But there's other advantages to having a taller optic height, a taller height over bore. There's some disadvantages as well, right? Like your point of impact shift. What is your holdover at closer distances? These are all things you need to know. What is your zero distance? So on and so forth. But as far as just straight up general purposes, like I see no real like major downside in mounting the optic higher, because it's going to give you advantages not only for passive aiming, which is the huge one, the big one with nods. You have a lot more clearance for your nods to actually sit on here. It's going to also give you a more heads up shooting position. I also don't have a stock or brace on here because, again, got moved around. But essentially, it's hard to show you guys without it. But essentially what you're going to have is you're going to have a more head straight up and down versus a head canted. No matter how you want to cut it, when the optic is lower, you have to smush down lower. And even if you're bringing that stock almost into the center of your chest line, you're still smushing down to get it to where you want it, versus a optic that does not have a riser. Let's just pull out a different blaster here that actually has stock on it. This guy is just missing the laser, which is why I was showing off the other guy to begin with. But just to give you guys an example, so my dot is on right now, and I have the whole butt of the stock in the shoulder pocket where I want it. I have perfect stability, and my head is straight up and down, versus if it was lower, my head would have to be like this or like this, smushing down to get to where I needed it to be. Not the end of the world. Small little thing, many small little things that add up to a more pleasant and faster shooting experience, in my opinion. So this is the Unity Fast Riser with the flip to center magnifier. This guy has the G45 EOTech on here, 5X. Now, so should you go with a riser setup if you don't have nods yet? I would say if you're intending to get nods, 100%. If you're not intending to get nods, you don't have the money, then maybe don't, right? If you don't have the money, don't do it. But if you have, I mean, these are like 95 bucks for the fast riser, so they're not crazy expensive. And there's a ton of options out there now. When I bought these fast risers, there were really only like two, the ADM and this one. Now there's a ton of them out there. And so I do think there's advantages to mounting it higher. But let's get back to the night vision specific conversation. Obviously, your optic has to have a night vision compatibility mode. The EOTech EXPS 3-1 that we're running on here does have a night vision mode. But I digress. I think that passive aiming is the future for night vision for guys who are actually running nods. Now, again, I told you I'd forget a billion things, so I'm going to go back to the original conversation and let's talk more so about the optic, the nods themselves. And we'll get our helmet out and show you guys what we're working with here. So this is a very old helmet that a friend, White Shoe Drew, gave me. He works at Downrange Thermal, so shout out Downrange Thermal for hooking it up with this helmet. This is, I believe, the Maritime helmet. So this is a ballistic 9mm rated helmet, and it was missing a bunch of stuff. So I bought the G24 mount, I bought the rails for it, I bought the new insert, which I just kind of like jerry rigged together. And to make it work, I actually had to cut the little whatever you call this, the speed adjustment system, because it was the one that like wrapped all the way around the front, and I had to cut it in order for it to fit in here. Long story short, it's by no means perfect, but it was absolutely free, which is incredible. So I'm a big fan of a free helmet, and these helmets get ridiculously expensive. So not only did the nods themselves cost an obscene amount, but a ballistic helmets, they're running like $1,900 to $2,200 depending on the one you get. The G24 mount was like $600. So yeah, all in, you're looking at an obscene amount of money. And also you might notice I don't have an ear pro mounted on the helmet because, surprise, surprise, that's like another like $1,200 to $1,500. So I'm just running inner ear pro for now with the helmet setup when I'm running it. But another thing I want to talk about with the nods, and you can't ignore the thermal conversation when you're talking about night vision, because thermal has come such a long way in just the last like 5 years. So if I had to do it all over again, would I have spent this crazy, this 14 grand or 13 grand, whatever it was, on these nods? 100% no. And the reason I wouldn't is because thermal has come such a long way that they have helmet mounted options now that can replace one of these tubes. And so you can just run one tube. Usually if you're right eye dominant, right-handed, you'd run the right tube night vision, so you could aim passively through your optic, and the left tube be a thermal device, so you could scan, and so you'd have the best of both worlds. You'd have detection out to 1,500, 2,000 meters with, being able to see a heat signature, right? It's gonna have, you want it on a 1x, it's not gonna have any zoom on this guy, but you'd be able to just flip this guy up, navigate, walk with this one eye, and also passively aim with this one eye, while still being able to identify threats from a very far away, under camouflage, people who are heavily, gillied up. Like, you'd be able to see the guys with a thermal. So that's the big downside of a dual tube system. And the way I see these systems today as like their actual applicability is like a offensive, like, your Delta, you're going to kill bin Laden. The guy's in the middle of the night, he's sleeping. Like, that's the only time I see these being more beneficial than a 1v1 system, in my humble opinion. Again, because I can be wearing these really expensive nods, walking around through the woods, and I could have a dude with a $1,500 ATN Thor thermal see me from 1,000 yards away, know that I'm coming. I'll never know he's there until he smokes me. So thermal is kind of essential in today's day and age, in my opinion. And this begs the question of, okay, if I could redo it, what would that look like? Let's just go back to this guy right here, because I think it's, we'll go to this guy, because this is a really cool setup. Obviously, this would have a suppressor on it. The Ferox is the one that comes to mind, but we're going to bring this guy up as an example for a reason, because the LPVO. And if I had to pick my perfect setup and split up this payment right here, this dollar amount that I spent on these nods, here's how I would have done it. Obviously, you still need the helmet, you still need the mount, you need some sort of bridge. I'm not like super well versed. You can get very autistic with the night vision thing, and I'm not gonna lie, I'm not like that deep into it. But if I had to do it all over again, what would my perfect ideal setup look like? It would be this 12.5, some sort of LPVO. It doesn't have to be the attacker. I'm just using this gun as an example because it's already set up pretty well. But it would be this guy right here with a RH25 on it, which is a clip-on thermal device. You snap it on right in front of your day scope. You do have to zero it and calibrate it so that it lines up with your day optic. It's not just as simple as slap it on and it works. Sometimes it does, but most of the time you got to calibrate it, zero it to the optic. But you can take it on and off. and it should hold 0 as long as your mount is good. So it would look like an RH25 in front of an LPVO, because you can dial that up to like 5 or 6x before you're zooming into pixels, so before it gets too grainy and you lose the resolution that you need in order to identify targets. That's what it would be on this rifle. Suppressor, IR, the Vampire with the IR light and illuminator. It wouldn't hurt to have an end goal, right? It wouldn't hurt to have a Mall C2 or whatever, but I probably wouldn't spend the money on that. I'd probably just get a Vampire, some sort of illuminator if I really, really needed it, but I don't think it's necessary to have the pointer, in my humble opinion. Then I'd have the top dot for passive aiming with my right tube. So I would have a PVS 14 with a white Phos on it in my right tube so that I could passively aim with my top dot here. And then I would have this guy be another thermal device that I could use while I'm navigating, while I'm scanning, because nobody likes to hold their gun up all day and scan through an optic. It'll get exhausting, and it will, I don't want to say defeat the purpose, but it will certainly not be as convenient as having it on a helmet. Now, the other side of that is, if it was possible, and I'm sure there's someone who's going to comment, somebody let me know down in the comments if it is possible. I'm sure it is. I'm sure somebody has created this, but a thermal device that can go on a helmet mount that can then clip off the helmet mount and go in front of a day optic. That's something I probably should have looked up before I started talking about this. I think it exists, because I think I saw it in Dirty Civilian's video, but I can't, without 100% certainty, tell you guys that that does exist. But that is the type of setup that if I could do it all over again, $4,500 for the RH25 Gen 2 in the front of this, $300 or $400 for the Vampire, probably $400 call it. So we're looking at like 4K right there. PVS 14 with white Phos, probably looking at like 5, 6K right there. So we're looking at about 10, 5, 11. And then another thermal device here. So I don't know, again, what those units go for, probably 4 to 5 or 6K. So it would be more expensive than just this setup alone. But again, get rid of the white light, it'd probably be around the same price. Or the IR light, whatever, the Vampire. It'd probably be around the same price, and I think that it would expand I know that would expand my capabilities dramatically. So again, I'm still going for that. Probably going to start next with the clip-on thermal for in front of the day optic, because then I could just take it off the rifle itself and use it as a handheld scanning device. But again, if I had to do it all over again, do I regret buying the 31 Alphas? Yes. I mean, I'm not like, oh, I need to sell them. I might, who knows? I'm not feeling that way right now, because they are a pretty awesome unit. They're completely waterproof. They look phenomenal. They have the manual gain adjustment. Comes with the battery pack in the back for like a super long runtime, whatever it is, like 16 hours or 18 hours with the lithium batteries. It's a really slick setup, but they are a polymer housing. They're very lightweight. They just work, but again, I have a little remorse after looking through a lot of my friends who have thermal, even cheaper thermal devices, even ATN and stuff like that. Really does unlock an entirely new capability that I think is necessary in 2025 for the prepared citizen. Obviously, you need a suppressor, you need a top-mounted dot or some sort of passive aiming capability. The numbers that I added up were kind of for things I already have, which I think a lot of you probably already have as well. But that's kind of where I'm at with that. I look at this tag sometimes and I'm like, damn, did I screw up? Did I make a big mistake? And I think I made a mistake, not a huge mistake. I just didn't know what I didn't know at the time. And also when I started paying on these, like 2.5, 3 years ago at this point, the helmet mounted thermal stuff just really wasn't around as frequently or as cost effectively as it is today. So I do think I have some regrets, but I don't like kick myself too much, because these are pretty amazing, and they still are awesome. But when you're out there in a field hunting hogs, for instance, and I know thermal's much better for hunting, but it just puts into perspective for you. These guys are seeing things in the tree line 350, 400 yards away, that with thermal units that cost a fourth of what these cost, or even less in some cases. And I'm standing there looking at gray mush and I can't see anything. With my illuminator, everything, I can't see it. So that kind of put things into perspective for me. If there was a dude in that tree line with a thermal who could easily identify a military age male, I'm a big dude, I'm 6'1", 260 pounds right now. I need to lose a couple lbs, but I'm a big dude, like, gonna see me, gonna be able to clap me pretty easily and go ahead and pick these up and sell them on the black market, because he won't even use them because they're just gonna get him clapped too. So that's kind of how I feel about it. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there's a lot of things I'm forgetting about. Let me know down in the comments what you guys think. If you guys do want to support the channel, rangedaybro.com, pick up any merch, use our discounts page, our affiliates page. Our loadouts page has all of our kit on it, so a bunch of these setups are on there. Not all of them are completely up to date, but most of them have all the parts you see on these rifles over there with affiliate links, so when you shop with those, it does support the channel. Thank you guys so much. Make sure you subscribe to our email list over there. Like, comment, subscribe. Follow me on Rumble, follow me on X, IG as well. If you had any questions, you could DM me over there. Anyways, love you guys. Christ is King. Take care of yourselves. Drink a lot of water.